Hi everyone, today I'm going to review Dunkirk, the latest Christopher Nolan movie. You may know this director from the Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, from Inception, Interstellar, The Prestige, Memento. I mean, he has done so many movies and so many great movies, and he certainly has this imprint, this style that you see. I mean, in the first frame of every movie, you're like, okay, that's his, because it's evident from the cinematography, the art direction, the sound, the effects, everything says, oh, it's Christopher Nolan. So you always know what movies are his, and Dunkirk is no different. You really see that this is his. Dunkirk is the story of a city in northern France called Dunkirk in French, where most Allied forces, mostly English forces, were cornered by the German army that was invading the whole of continental Europe. And these soldiers were left basically, I mean, there was no one to rescue them really, because their government on the other side of the English Channel didn't really want to invest that much saving. I mean, they wanted them to come home, but they really didn't want to send too many ships or too many planes or too many anything, because they didn't really have anything to spend. I mean, they really wanted their whole forces to be, untouched come the moment of the German invasion of Britain, or some attacks or whatever they had to do. They were thinking about the future, so they couldn't just send a bunch of boats in order to pick up these soldiers. So they sought the help, of civilian ships, yachts and fishing boats and whatever that they could gather or whatever. Some people gave these boats to the army, some didn't, and some just run into battle in order to rescue these men. And that's what the movie is about basically. It's about the soldiers on the beach trying to survive and trying to get out of Dunkirk. It's about the aerial battle, because there were German bombers dropping bombs like every few hours in order to diminish the forces in Dunkirk, and then the fighters from the English side trying to bring them to go down, and in order to prevent the bombardment from happening, and then the civilian boats coming. It's three different perspectives in this movie, and it's very interesting because one of the things I can say about this movie, it's not a character-driven movie, to be honest. I mean, you see like people, but they represent the group more than just one person. I mean, there's a soldier that we see from the beginning of the movie to the very end, practically, and we don't really know his name. I think we know like his last name because he has it, on his uniform or whatever, but that's it. I mean, for us, he's one of so many men that just wanted to get the fuck out of there. And they were young. They were really, really young. I mean, there were people like 18 years old in this battlefield that had seen so many awful things, that were seeing awful things in Dunkirk. So it's really powerful. And the fighters, there's one fighter that you don't really see his face that much. You kind of see it. It's Tom Hardy, of course, who that is, but you don't really remember his name after the movie. You're like, okay, he's a fighter. And the same thing with the civilian boats. I mean, you kind of know some of the names, but they just represent the people. They represent the public. They represent civilians in general that wanted to help their army and the forces of the government and the country to stay put, to just keep existing basically in these awful moments. And it's really powerful that way, that there's no actor that just jumps out of the screen in this movie. There's no moment like that. It's just characters and factions of the real world. I mean, this movie is representing a historical truth. If you watch any of these documentaries about World War II, or if you read certain books and magazines and everything about World War II, you will always hear Dunkirk mentioned, because it was the worst moment for the Allies. It was like, oh, you really lost Europe. I mean, the whole of Europe had been invaded almost by Germany. So, I mean, they were in the lowest point, and after that it came the bombardments in London and in several other English cities, because the Germans said, okay, we cannot invade England, but we can't just drop bombs on them until they basically say, okay, we surrender because we are not taking this anymore. Of course, they didn't take into account that England was an empire at the time, the British Empire, and they didn't only have forces there, but they have forces in Southeast Asia and in Southern Asia and in Africa and even in South America. So I mean, they were an empire, so that really helped the British back then. So I mean, that was referenced also in a Churchill speech in the movie, but whatever. The cinematography in this movie is just amazing. It's just beautiful. I mean, Hoytema, I think it's his name. He's Dutch or something. I don't really know to pronounce his name, but he's an amazing cinematographer. He has worked before with Christopher Nolan, I think in Interstellar, and he had another DP before, another cinematographer before, who was Wally Pfister, but he stopped working with him because Wally Pfister wanted to be a director apparently. So yeah. He did an awful movie called Transcendence. Don't watch that. It's so crappy. I mean, I hate that movie. I mean, I adore sci-fi, but I just hate that movie. But whatever. The sound editing, the sound mixing, everything that has to do with sound, including the score, is just beautiful in Dunkirk. It's beautiful. It's just wow. I mean, it's amazing. I think it's one of the best scores of this year of 2017 actually. The art direction is kind of good, the costume design is kind of good. I mean, it's a World War II movie and they have done so many of those, so we have seen that art direction and that costume design is not really new, and it's museum costume design, to be honest. It's not like it's super hard to create, you just have to copy it, and it's very basic because there are only men and only soldiers basically, or a couple of civilians in the movie, no women. There are like 2 nurses somewhere in the movie, and that's the only thing that I would be like, oh, it would be nice if there were more women, but there weren't many women at the time in, you know, war zones, so it really makes sense. So yeah, this movie is amazing. This movie is really great. I don't know if this is one of the best movies of 2017, maybe certainly in the top 10, but the best movie, I don't know. It's not the best from Christopher Nolan, to be honest. If he won the Academy Award for this movie, it would be kind of disappointing because he has done better directorial work in other movies. So I don't think he's going to win it, by the way, but he finally got a nomination, and that's one thing that many of his fans wanted, because they were like, how come he wasn't nominated ever? But there you go. And he had been nominated before for a screenplay, I think the Inception screenplay. So that's really great. The movie is really good. If you haven't seen it, it's on video, Blu-ray, whatever, digital format, everything. It's out now, and yeah, just enjoy this movie because it's really good, and it's one of those historical things that everyone should know about, not only English people, but everyone in the world, to be honest, because it was a tough moment in history. So yeah, thank you so much. Sorry if this video is going to be a little bit too long, but whatever, things are like that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share this video on your social networks. Leave a comment down below if you have seen Dunkirk and what you think about it. Please like or dislike this video, and of course subscribe to my channel, please. Thank you so much. Goodbye.